Hi there. Welcome back. I am here in the northern Liurnia Lakeshore. We were up here yesterday exploring, and then I was murdered by Pumpkinhead as I was trying to climb into the base of the enemy to attack this guy who was being annoying, shooting projectiles at me. So, first things first, definitely going to go deal with that. um, But we'll see how long that takes. I don't think it'll be that hard. It was just like somebody shooting magical projectiles at me and a pumpkin head. So all enemies that I've dealt with before. I like this guy's armor. I hope I can maybe get the armor from some point. They dropped their shield for me earlier when I attacked them, but I didn't actually check the stats of the shield. We'll look at that in a bit. Correct. Dang. Oh, he's alive. I don't really want to fight those giants again, but I can get past them. Jump over them. Oh. I forget exactly how long ago it was now, but a bit ago I was, I keep saying. Well, one thing I noticed when watching some of my previous videos is that I go and a lot. That's something I'm trying to improve on a little bit. It's quite hard though. It's like one of those, oh, there I go again. One of those habits that you build up over a long period of time, and especially that one in particular, I think you use words like that as filler, so it can be particularly hard to, oh, I might be dead here. Be particularly hard to break if you don't kill me. Oh, okay. It could be particularly hard to break if you're not thinking about it explicitly, just because the the habit you're trying to break, of course, has become something you don't need to think about. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose it. Or very annoying. Which ones are the ones throwing those glintstones at me? I think it's the big guys. And of course, they're the ones who sit back and don't do any of the fighting. Classic leader of the troop behavior. Just sit back and let all your underlings do the work, of course. Hey. Okay, there we go. Go with all of them. But yeah, last time I went through, like I said, I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but I had mentioned something about how... Oh, hey, doggy. Sorry. I had mentioned something about how growing up, my parents and my grandparents, they frequently use what I would call like, oh no, don't you dare. Okay, well, you did it anyways. They use like aversion based feedback, I guess I would call it, a lot of times when I was little, to get children to behave. And what I mean by that, when I was referring to it earlier, it was in the context of like my grandmother, how she would always, please stop, how she would always say that something was el diablo if she didn't like it, which, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, she's saying that's like, oh, that's like the devil's. And basically she just used that to refer to anything that didn't align with, behavior that she approved of, which tended to also be, the behavior that you would expect the Catholic Church to want you to follow as well. My family is very, very religious, and so that is not surprising. And, there's obviously nothing wrong with... He just planted his spear this time. Last time he threw it at me. Oh, Pumpkinhead, why? Oh wait, I just realized I can summon someone here. Ow. That person throwing things at me is very frustrating. Probably going to kill me. Oh man, you just wait, buddy. When I get up there, I'll make you pay. So yeah, as I was saying, my grandma, you know, she was pretty involved, I would say, in like my childhood and like growing up. What the heck? They're fighting there? It's just like they're weird. She, you know, we grew up living very close to my grandmother, as in like physically close, and so he would often. Oh no! Don't! Oh, I'm dead. Wow, that guy's got a cool sword. She would very often like know what we were, you know, doing, just because she would see us doing the thing, or she would hear from our parents, or whatever. She would find out somehow, and you know, she and my parents had like a say in pretty much everything we did. You know, I guess as parents often do. They were, you know, just doing their best, I would say, to make it so that we grew up to be, I guess, you know, functioning adults in society. They of course just want the best for you. But I don't know how common this is. At least in my family, you know, a lot of times that took the form of what I already mentioned, where like they try to get you to be like afraid of something so that you don't do it. And so that was my grandmother and parents' common tactic. If like what we were doing was something they didn't approve of us, typically they would use some tactic like that. And if it was something that they did approve of, there was like some reward or incentive for us. And you know, I think the end result of that ended up being kind of almost a little silly, but also a little embarrassing. Like, I would say for, oh my goodness, don't do that. I'd say for a very long time I was kind of like superstitious, even though like I didn't really want to be. And what I mean by that is, you know, I didn't believe in like ghosts or like demons or whatever popping out of my window and grabbing me like my grandma said I would if I did something bad. But I did have sort of a reaction that developed over time as a result of them constantly telling me that. And that's what I was referring to in that last video when I mentioned that, is you get like these biases, I guess, that you incorporate even if you don't necessarily want to, or you know, maybe they happen while you're not aware. And so for me, like I said, that was kind of like this fear like reaction that I would have to things that were, you know, that I associated with like being like things that I guess basically that the Catholic Church would not approve of. I'm gonna run past all of you and go straight for that guy, because that I'm very annoyed. Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Oh my god, I missed. Oh my god, I almost fell off. That would have been something right there. And you know, just to give you a few examples of the kind of silly things that would go on is I remember when I was little, I got really into Pokemon, and you know, my parents and grandma caught wind of that, and I don't know if, hey, back off, buddy. Can't you see him attacking your commander? I don't know if all of you remember this, but there was like a very brief period of time where like the Catholic Church for some reason was just really against, oh my god, Pumpkinhead, no. Please, I'm sorry. Let me out. Let me out. Run. No! It's not fair, the terrain! Alright, I've been had. You got me, Pumpkinhead. But yeah, there was that brief period of time when like the church was just like really, really against Pokemon, and they were saying all, you know, they were doing all their usual propaganda, telling people that it's like taking you away from God or whatever. And so of course my grandma, she heard from the local priest or whatever that Pokemon was bad, and then she saw me and my friends and my cousins were really into it, and so she basically like started trying to spook all of us, telling us that, oh, if you play Pokemon, the devil's gonna get you and all this and all that. And like I said, it sounds very silly, right? But when you are constantly surrounded by people who tell you something, it affects you, even if you like don't want to believe what they say, or like if you reject what they say or whatever. If you're like exposed to it long enough, it starts to affect you in some ways. Hey, back here. So that's one silly example. Another silly example I remember is when Warcraft 3 came out. That was a real long time ago, right? Well, not when it came out, but at some point I got a computer when I was like in middle school or something like that, I forget. And I was really into Age of Empires, and one of my cousins had told me, oh, if you really like Age of Empires, you should try Warcraft 3, you'll like that game. And so I got it, eventually. This was also my first experience getting like scammed by someone, because I actually traded in a bunch of my games and consoles to a pawn shop to like get enough money to buy the Warcraft 3 battle chest. So, I was super excited. I got it on my computer, installed it, and was like having a great time playing it. And one day while I was playing it, I used a cheat code where I forget what the cheat code was, but it just unlocked God mode in the game. So, your units don't take any damage, and they deal a lot of damage, and it basically makes it so it's impossible for you to lose. And as I was doing that, like one of my parents, I forget which one, came in and like saw the message for that pop up where it was like, you have entered God mode or whatever. And they basically just had like a fit about it. They were like talking about how, dodged it. They were talking about how it was like bad that I was doing something to like impersonate God or whatever, and that I shouldn't be doing things like that, and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the long story short is they forced me to sell the game, basically, and, admonished me for a long time about it, telling me that, I was doing bad things or whatever. And, like, it was just such an extreme reaction to basically nothing. Oh my god, I'm getting stuck in the train again. Please, Pumpkinhead, spare me! This isn't fair! I'm stuck! I'm actually stuck. Oh my god. Oh, that was unfortunate. I need to be more careful where I roll. But yeah, it was just such an extreme reaction to like something very small, it was just a video game. And I had entered a cheat code, and just because it had basically the word God mode in it, that was enough to like, I don't know, like trigger my parents or my grandparents or whatever and send them into a frenzy about how I was doing things that were evil or whatever. And, they didn't use that exact language. They didn't say that I was, like, doing evil things and that I was like, summoning the devil or anything like that. But they did use very strong language, especially, I was, like, a kid at the time, so it like, freaked me out. And, I felt really bad because everyone was, like, telling me what I was doing was wrong when, I thought I was just playing a video game, having some fun, but apparently I had, like, I don't know, like, committed a cardinal sin or some garbage, So that was just such an extreme reaction. And like I said, in hindsight, it seems very silly. It's like, well, it's kind of dumb that people would react that way. And I attribute a lot of it to them just being ignorant about technology, and probably themselves being raised in an environment like that was extremely, where to control your behavior fear was like employed, trying to make you afraid of doing things instead of doing the right thing because you think it's the right thing or because you want to. But yeah, I just got to thinking about that because I had mentioned it in one of those previous videos. I wanted to expand on that a little bit more in case people weren't really familiar with what I was talking about. Yeah, I guess I'm curious how common that kind of thing is. I would expect for like households like mine, like Hispanic households. Oh my goodness, I forgot. All right, buddy, you gotta hold down the fort so I can go deal with that other person. I would guess in like Hispanic households, it's probably not too uncommon because, or sorry, I should say at least, you know, in Mexican households, it's probably not too uncommon because almost everyone in Mexico is Catholic. It's like the, you know, official religion of the country, and we are. All right, Pumpkinhead, take you down. I would like to have my lance when I fight Pumpkinhead, though. It usually works out much better. But yeah, I imagine for Mexican households it's probably not too uncommon, but maybe it's more widespread than I think. And yeah, I guess to some degree it did work, because like I was afraid to do all of the things that they told me not to do for a very long time. And even some of the sillier stuff, I would say, left like a long-lasting impact on me. Oh my god, I need to get behind you, but you're so fast. There we go. Oh no, now this person's out after me. Alright. Unfortunate. I think I need to just be a little more tactical and clear everything from the bottom to the top. But yeah, you know, even recently, like, I feel like I saw, like, how that has affected me. And like for a very, very long time, I just like could not watch any sort of scary movie. And it was because like I was afraid, obviously, but you know, the reason I was afraid was not because I was afraid of like the content of the movie. It's because whenever I watched a scary movie, I would then have like thoughts that I had a lot of trouble controlling all night, where I was like afraid that something was, you know, going to get me, or just like feeling very uneasy to the point where like I couldn't sleep. I just felt uncomfortable. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy just like how much of an impact those things can have on you in the long term, even if you think you've like kind of grown out of them. It wasn't until very recently that I could watch scary movies, and now I actually enjoy them. I don't know really what changed to make it so that I no longer sort of have that reaction that I used to have. But now, whenever I watch a movie like that, I don't have the same problems I used to have, where I would just be like unable to sleep for several days, or like I would I guess just have like a fearful reaction where I couldn't think about anything else or anything like that. But it also kind of got me thinking, like, I wonder what other ways that kind of thing affected me that I'm just maybe not aware of. Like, for example, I definitely have some amount of like social anxiety, which I don't think I have like an amount that is unusual. Like, I do think I'm definitely an introvert, in part because I have some amount of social anxiety. And I mentioned this in a previous video, like I definitely feel kind of uncomfortable around people I don't know, and I don't know what to say to them, and that sort of thing. And, you know, I've been thinking, like, I wonder how much of that is maybe because of, like, stuff that I mentioned, things similar to what I mentioned, where maybe at the time, you know, my parents were this part of the map is very annoying. They're just super toxic. So yeah, you know, I wonder how much of that behavior might be from similar things where my parents at the time, or not my parents, but just somebody, you know, essentially like trained me to have he stop shooting me. Why? They essentially like trained a response in me, right? And so I'm wondering, you know, is the social anxiety a similar kind of response? Is there other things that I'm not aware of that could be similar? One of those things that's kind of hard to know about, you know, because if it was something that I was super aware of, like obviously the example I gave now, I've been very aware of, because, you know, if I watch something scary and I couldn't sleep, then obviously I'm going to be aware of the fact that I can't sleep being because I'm like really having all these thoughts about, you know, whatever, something scaring me, or like something, just like general nervousness or fear. But what if it's like something that is just affecting my behavior in ways that I am not as aware of, you know? Like the social anxiety. Like, does that come from something that was happening when I was younger, or some way that someone essentially trained me via like aversion or whatever? Oh. No, no, no! Oh man, I did a heavy attack there. That was going so well too. So yeah, one of those things that I've been thinking about a little more, just like introspection, you know. Something that happened kind of recently that made me think about it some more was one of my friends that I play video games with and watch shows with. We do things remote, like over Discord or Zoom, just because I moved away. But recently there was another silly example of sort of the biases or like behaviors you pick up that, well, I'll just explain it, but basically what happened is my friend was feeling tired or whatever from work, and so they decided they didn't want to like play games anymore, and they, you know, they just said, oh, you know, I'm just not in the mood to play games anymore, and so I'm gonna go. And you know, when my friend left, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. They're just tired, or you know, maybe they just like were their like social battery was out because they've been doing stuff with other people or whatever. That was like my initial thought, and I think that's like a totally reasonable thing to think. Obviously, it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. They decided they don't want to hang out anymore for the day, and you know, oopsie, I just wasted my mana blast. Then, like, some thoughts started creeping in, like, oh, well, maybe it was, like, something I said, you know? Maybe I annoyed my friend because I was, like, making comments during the gameplay. Like, you know, I was watching my friend play Elden Ring, and maybe I said something that, like, annoyed them, and they just decided, well, I just don't want to stream anymore, or I don't want to hang out anymore for the day. And it's... The reason it's funny is because, you know, you have those thoughts, and as you're having them, you realize, oh no, that's like ridiculous. Obviously, that's not what's going on. But you can't exactly get rid of them. You just keep having them, and they sort of like wear you down, you know. And you can't really like deal with it, because I mean, if you have like these thoughts coming into your head and don't have, I guess it's, you know, when you're already in your own head thinking these things, it's difficult to dispel those thoughts, those kinds of negative thoughts. This person is toxic as always. And you know what ended up happening is eventually I felt anxious enough about it that I like messaged my friend and was like, hey, I'm sorry if I like said something to make you mad or whatever. I didn't mean to. I hope that, you know, you feel better tomorrow or whatever. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was basically an apology where I apologized in case I had annoyed them or made them mad. And my friend, of course, stop it. Where are you going? Did he just walk up the mountainside? And my friend, I think, also has some amount of social anxiety because, you know, slightly later, they also messaged me and were like, "Oh, you know, sorry, I made you feel that way. I didn't mean to make you feel bad about like me leaving or whatever." But yeah, that sort of like prompted me to think about like, oh, why did I even feel that way to begin with? Like, you know, I knew that it was a silly thought, well, like while I was having it, but at the same time, I couldn't really keep it from happening. Like one of those things that I'm gonna die again. Pumpkin head is because I keep forgetting to switch to my lance. I really need to. I'm just gonna do that now. It's much easier to deal Pumpkinhead lance. And so yeah, you know, I was like, why is it that even though as it was happening, I was thinking to myself, no, obviously my friend is not mad at me, but then, you know, given enough time, I had like worked myself up enough to the point where I was like apologizing over something that was basically entirely in my head. And yeah, you know, like, how far does that go? Like, how much of our idiosyncrasies or like behaviors are similar to that, where they're just like essentially bad coping mechanisms, or they're just bad really? I did not see you. They're just like bad coping mechanisms for things that we developed over time from the way you were either treated or maybe something you were just taught as a kid. Yeah. It's also something that sometimes I actually worry about it too. Like, are there biases that I've picked up, or like behaviors I've picked up that are like harmful to others? You know, I think, like I said, I think my parents and my grandparents weren't like acting out of malice or spite when they were telling me that, you know, oh, the devil, that's like the devil's behavior and the devil's gonna get you or whatever. They were just raised in a way that taught them that that was like appropriate behavior. And so I think that's kind of like the end state, you know, almost of what I'm describing, is you basically end up behaving in that same way, in the way that caused you, like the behavior that caused you to develop those biases ends up being like your behavior. Man, I'm so bad at this. Let's try again. The behavior other people had, so in this case, you know, like my parents or my grandparents saying that the devil's gonna get you or whatever, that behavior that they had, it causes you to like develop some coping mechanism or bias or, you know, idiosyncrasy of some kind. And then the end state of that is that you end up behaving the exact same way that they did towards other people. You know, I wonder how often that happens, like, because that's what I think what happened in their case, right? Is their parents or grandparents probably, well, I mean, for my parents, I know for sure that happened because, you know, it was my grandma who had the behavior, so undoubtedly she also did that to them. And so, you know, if that's the case, like, kind of scary to think about, you know? They kind of perpetuate themselves. It's like a virus almost. And so, yeah, I've sort of been thinking about it a bit and trying to identify, you know, like, well, what kind of behaviors like that do I have? And for the ones I do have, you know, how do you identify them so that you can break those patterns? I do feel it's like kind of scary to ask about, just because you don't know, like, for sure if you do have that behavior, like, oh my goodness, if you do have, no, it's very hard to focus while playing at the same time, but I am actually enjoying this, even though it is a little frustrating to keep dying to sort of the same enemies over and over. But yeah, how do you... It's a little scary to ask about, in my opinion, just because I feel today people are very aggressive when it comes to like personal flaws people might have. And what I mean by that is, like, say, for example, like the behavior my parents have, right? Where they if they see you doing something that they disapprove of, they tell you that it's like immoral or like devilish behavior. Um, if you're doing something like that and you ask someone about it, you're kind of, in a sense, like admitting like some kind of fault, right? And if it's something that, wow, that guy is help his friend for once. It's like the first time he's done that. You're kind of admitting a fault, right? So if you do that, you're more or less opening yourself up to someone attacking you for it. Not like physically, but saying like, "Oh, you think that? Then that makes you a bad person." Um, and I feel like that is kind of the case. Like that is what happens a lot these days. Is you can't really admit that that you have like some personal flaw, or that you had some personal flaw, or that you're trying to improve in some way, because people will just like attack you for it. And I guess I don't necessarily have an opinion on whether that's good or bad. And I'm just saying that if you are someone who's like trying to improve yourself in some way, it could be scary to ask others like, "Hey, what do you think about me?" Or like, "How could I improve?" Because they might just like react in a way that's scary, right? They might like, you might think they're like attacking you or whatever. And maybe you deserve it. Like, I'm not saying that that's bad that they do that. Maybe you deserve to, have your friend or whoever call you out on whatever you're doing. If in the case of my parents had asked me like, "Hey, how do you feel when we do this?" I would absolutely have been like, "I really hate it, and you should stop because it makes me feel bad." And that's something they deserve to have happen. Like, they deserve to have been called out for that. So yeah, I guess, how do you go about identifying those things when you want to improve like that? I guess you just kind of have to accept that people are gonna maybe. Oh my goodness! Stop throwing that at me, please. Thank you. I mean, I guess if what you're doing is hurting or bothering people, as in the case of my parents and grandparents' behavior, then I guess you kind of deserve to be, called out for it or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the way it is. It's like scary to be in that position where someone's going to like, I don't know, I guess like yell at you or call you out on it, but you already harmed them. So I mean, you kind of deserve it, I guess. Perhaps that's a little bit too extreme of a take, but that is why I feel like it's kind of scary to fall off. Yeah, see ya. Wait, you didn't die. Okay, whatever. As I was saying, that is why I feel it's like kind of scary to talk about those sorts of things with people, just because today I feel like people prefer to sort of take that aggressive stance where, if you admit to some fault, or you admit that you're trying to improve yourself, or that you want help, like identifying some fault or whatever, that you're going to be, like you're going to be attacked for it essentially. And the alternative, of course, would be that like, people don't attack you for it, and they just like tell you what the problematic behavior is. But like I said, I don't actually think that, it's necessarily wrong of the person to call you out on the behavior if it was something that was harmful to them. Like I said, in my case, I would have definitely told my parents, like, yeah, that thing you were doing was, like, bad, and I wish you had not done that, or I wish you would stop. So yeah, I guess mostly I've been wondering, like, I wonder if I have any behaviors like that. Because I'm sure my parents didn't realize that they were doing something harmful. They were certainly not intending to do anything harmful. So now, reflecting on my own behavior, like, well, is there anything I could be doing that I'm, inadvertently harming others with? even if that's not my intent. Pumpkinhead. No, you know, I'm just gonna leave Pumpkinhead alone. I just want to get to the top of this hill. I've been trying to get to the top of this hill for like 40 minutes now. Am I going the right way? Yes. Left. See what's up there. Yeah, that's sort of... Oh. Felt bad. That's sort of what's been on my mind recently, just because having brought it up in that previous video, like I said. Oh. Okay. Oh wow, that was not expecting you to turn around like that. Oh, you got me. Oh. That's a big giant. That one has like a sword and armor. That's interesting. I wonder why some of them are like, well, okay, is that one a ghost? I can't tell, you know, like it's glowing, but it's not glowing blue like the ancestral spirit, so a little hard to tell sometimes if something's a ghost or just like juiced up on some magic, you know, magic steroids or something. Yeah, because like if it's a ghost, I could see, oh yeah, that would make sense that, you know, that one has armor and like sword, because all the giants I've seen that aren't ghosts seem to be like prisoners basically. They're always like tied up to those carts and pulling them around. Yeah. But that was something I wanted to talk about. It's kind of funny, you know, now that we're done talking about like trying to reflect on yourself and, you know, identifying the source of like bias or the behaviors you might have. It's now time to get back to our game where we go around indiscriminately killing everything we run into. So there's a bit of a little amusing contrast there, I suppose. Alright, I'm just gonna run past all of you. I don't want to deal with any of you anymore. See ya. Hello, goodbye. Uh-oh. Did I go the wrong way? Here. So jellies. Hopefully guarding some... They killed some travelers. Hi. Ow. Jellyfish shield. Nice. Alright. Let's go. Probably just gonna fight that guy on my horse. It's probably easiest. Where are you? Okay, it's up here. What I should have done is when I had all my runes, I should have come back down here before dying so that I could have leveled up. I think I had enough runes to level up like twice. Really? Oh my god, you can make giant swords? No! Okay. I could have sworn this worked last time. Oh, nope, do not want. Right, gonna get ya. Alright, you're done. Get me off. I'm stuck. I didn't get it. Now he's gonna squash me probably. Run! Oh no, am I dead? Oh no. Dang, that was so close. In like 1 HP left. It's okay. I got a little greedy there. One thing I've been trying to work on with these recordings is sort of figuring out the best way to organize my thoughts beforehand. Because, like, once I'm playing the game and trying to think through all the things I wanted to talk about, it's a little hard to keep it all straight. Definitely feel like when I look at some of the older videos, it's a little bit rambling sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I do usually end up saying all the things I wanted to, although maybe not as eloquently as I would have liked. So that is something I would like to continue working on. The biggest challenge is, like, I don't want to write out like a script, you know, that's like say all like, you know, I don't want something too detailed that's like a full script of what I'm gonna say. I've just sort of been jotting down some notes, like high level things I want to say. That's worked okay. Like for this conversation that, you know, I've sort of had, I would say it worked okay. It was still a little more rambly than I would have liked, but overall it wasn't too bad. The part that I've noticed the most is when I'm saying something and then something happens in the game, I tend to either repeat what I just said or lose my train of thought enough to where the conversation kind of, like I say, it can be a bit rambly in that case. Alright, buddy. Going down. We're going down. But I suppose that's something that will come with practice, as all things. Nice. Does this even work? I don't see like a glowing spot for him. I guess that doesn't work on them. I mean, it's a few free hits, so whatever. Definitely hit me. Didn't damage. Oh, I guess it probably just hit Torrent. Stand below him. Can't hit me. Bite. Bye-bye. Okay, there we go. Now that you've been dealt with. Huh, drop anything. That's alright. We'll up the hill. We'll finally get to see what's at the top of this hill. Watch it just be like a colony of jellyfish or something. Oh, look, there's two of them. Huh. Okay, well, whatever. I'll take you out too. Oh, imagine fighting both of them at the same time. Now that would be tough. Lapping him from my horse. Yep. How's he roaring? He doesn't have a head. Oh, wow, this time you just kind of got wrecked. Not much of a challenge. Bye-bye. I guess the roar comes from deep within. We got up here. Another one? What the heck? How many you are there? Any of you here? Or are you just like going to constantly be revived? Is that what's happening? Oh, oh, that's close. Yeah, it would be quite annoying if you were just gonna revive over and over and chase me. Okay, don't get greedy. Let our stamina come back. Then we'll run in and miss. We'll run in and finish him. Nice. Drop anything? Oh. Okay. Hopefully there isn't another one. Although this place is called the Four Belfries, so my guess is that there's one for every belfry. So there will be one more. This is a teleporter. Well, I don't want to leave here. I just got here. See what these other places have. They're all teleporters. Huh. Two of them. Yeah, they're all teleporters. Fascinating. Well, I'd like to find a site of grace then, so I don't have to run past those giants every time I come up here. Oh, see, this one had an item. Viewed sword key? Ah. Oh, it's just like a different kind of key. Okay. Honestly, I feel like that was a little underwhelming for the amount of effort it took to get up here, but that's okay. Alright, well, that's probably a good place to call it for today. I'll just come down here, and hopefully this area won't be quite as ridiculous as that hill. I mean, there's probably going to be an Erdtree avatar here for sure. And I would like to figure out how to get up on this plateau, because I remember down here there was no way up. So yeah, I will call it here. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later. Bye.